Alrighty, good morning, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning, everyone. What's up? What's up? Today is Thursday, January the 8th. Coming into today, we do have some red folder news. We'll kind of talk about what happened yesterday. SPY all-time highs. Q's nice push towards the upside, ultimately kind of rejecting off the top of our higher time frame wedge pattern. We'll talk about the levels moving forward, of course. We'll go on to some of the tech names that have been lagging behind. We have a couple that are dropping here in the pre-market. We'll go on to a few other names here as well. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. As for yesterday, yeah, unfortunately my power went out yesterday. But I had my pre-market game plan I posted it in the WAP channel or the free watch list every single morning. So of course, if you guys haven't joined that one is in the description below. But yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning, Victor, B Roots, Robert. Good morning, Cody, Frank, Vic, Juan, 50, Andy, KO. What's up, everyone? Detecto, Jade, Robert, I am, Miss Reggie, Chris, Big Money, Andreas. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's first pull up the economic calendar and then we will get started. Okay, first things first, as you can see here, coming into market open, we do have some unemployment claims that is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once that happens, we'll most likely just mark up charts for the first kind of 30 minutes until we have unemployment, and then we'll really develop our game plan from there. As for tomorrow, we have some more red folder news, which is later into the session. And then, of course, we have 10 a.m. We have consumer sentiment, which is going to be fairly big here as well. So this is what we have coming into market open, at least for today and for tomorrow. All right, now let's go on to some of the charts that we have. Let's first start off on the ES. So for the ES, as you can see here, if we go on to the daily time frame, right, we're maintaining a bullish stance here on the ES just because we're building up these higher lows. And we end up having this nice push really back up and towards our all-time highs yesterday. Specifically on the ES, as for the SPY, we already made a brand new all-time highs. Similar thing here to the SPX, but this is our key level of resistance. And now you can see the markets are having a little bit of reaction off this level. So moving forward, we'd still like to see these higher lows be maintained, eventually break above our all-time highs, hold above that level for a continuation higher. As for the lower time frames, let's mark out the levels coming into today. And what are we looking for? So as you can see, the market's really pushed all the way back down in towards our last week's key levels, which is our Friday's highs from last week. So you can see if we're looking at Monday's price action, nice kind of push towards the upside. Tuesday, nice rally. And then, of course, Wednesday, nice push higher, ultimately fading, rejecting off our all-time highs. And now in the pre-market, we're actually dropping a decent amount. So as you can see, we dropped all the way back down in towards our Friday's highs of last week. Now moving forward, what we like to see is a couple of things here for the ES. At least today, the key levels we're going to have marked out as our last week's highs along with our Friday's highs. If we go on to the lower time frames, these are the exact levels as I mentioned. Long positions are going to be above our last week's highs, a reclaim back above that level. A potential bounce play off our Friday's highs is in play here as well for this pushback towards the upside. So for the ES, we have about two scenarios that we'll be looking for coming into market open. Reclaim back above our previous day lows essentially for this continuation higher, or now it's going to be the bounce off our pre-market lows for this pushback towards the downside. So there's two scenarios here for the ES. As for some downside, since we ended up having a rejection off our all-time highs yesterday, a push in towards our close, and of course in the after hours and in the pre-market, we're dropping here. For the ES, for some downside, you're either going to be looking for the pop and fade off that 6960, or now it's going to be underneath your pre-market lows for continuation towards the downside. So these are the two major levels for the ES coming into market open. 6960 along with our 6930s. Now let's go on to the SPY chart. So for the SPY chart, it's fairly similar. It looks a little bit different, but for the SPY, let's go on to the daily time frame. As you can see, higher lows were being maintained, and we end up having a nice push towards our all-time highs. As you can see, right, higher lows are being built. We're kind of coming up and towards the top of this higher time frame wedge pattern, and there's a little bit of rejection, of course, off our all-time highs. Now for the SPY chart, if we go back onto the lower time frames, the key levels moving forward on the SPY is going to be that last week's key pivot level along with our Friday's highs as well. So for the SPY coming to market open, the key levels that we have today is going to be our last week's highs. And then we also have our Friday's highs marked off from last week. So for the SPY chart coming into market open, let's go on to the lower time frames. Just kind of zoom in here. For the SPY, the key level for upside is going to be your previous day lows, 689. If you do want to see any sort of push towards the upside, the reclaim back above your 689 for a continuation higher. If we reject off this level, right, watch out for the potential kind of pop and fade for a push right back down in towards your pre-market lows. So key level today here really is going to be that previous day lows. Other levels that I have marked out, I'm actually just going to readjust this one down in towards your Tuesday's lows and kind of this pre-market level here as well. So for the SPY, the key levels I'm going to have marked out, at least on this name, is going to be that 689.50. And I'm just going to draw your pre-market lows along with our low that we created here on Tuesday. So two scenarios once again here on SPY. And then of course for downside, as I mentioned, pop and fade, or now it's going to be underneath your pre-market lows for a push down in towards are 686.50. So these are the two levels that I have for the SPY and of course the ES coming into market open. I am fairly more neutral now here on the markets just because we rejected off your all-time highs. We'll talk about the QQQ here in a second. We're kind of rejecting off of your higher time frame wedge pattern. So for the Qs, we wanted to see the potential kind of breakout yesterday above our higher time frame key levels. You can see it kind of just came up and towards our key level of resistance. And we had a weak candle closure here on the daily chart. So what we're going to be waiting for on upside is a strong candle close for this continuation back towards all-time highs. Ultimately, we had a nice breakout yesterday, but you can see this daily candle close weak, and now we're still kind of stuck inside this range. So if we go back onto the NQ, similar thesis here, as you can see, still kind of stuck in between this wedge pattern. So until we can finally break outside, we're going to be a little bit more cautious. As for the key levels coming to today here for the NQ, what we have marked out is our last week's highs, and then we have now it's your Monday's lows. So this is a key level here for the NQ. If we want to see some upside, break above, maintain above for this continuation higher. You can see yesterday, nice kind of hold right off the bat, and we end up having a nice drive towards the upside. Now, similar game plan today, we want to see the reclaim back above our last week's highs, which in this case is our 25,780s. If we can break back above, we can see this potential push back up and towards our 25,900. If we ultimately reject off this level, we can see a push right back down in towards, now it's going to be that pre-market lows, 25,660. So these are the key levels I have. It's really just going to be our last week's highs for the NQ coming into market open. Now let's go on to the QQQ chart. So for the QQQ chart, fairly similar. As I mentioned, I already went over what it looks like here on the daily chart. If we're on the hourly chart, you can see nice kind of push up on Monday consolidation, Tuesday, nice push up and towards our last week's highs yesterday. Nice solid reaction right off that 622. Nice kind of push right off the bat with the SPY as well. Now we end up giving back all its gains and we're right back at a similar spot to where it opened up yesterday. So moving forward, similar kind of game plan. If we can bounce off this level, we can see a push right back up and towards our previous day close and potentially 625. A rejection, if price stays heavy underneath our last week's highs, then we can see maybe this reversal in the market back down in towards our 619. So that's going to be key coming into today. I am going to have a more neutral stance. I am still leaning more towards the upside. So for these SPY and Qs, I'd like to see kind of this bounce play, at least right off the bat, towards our previous day close. That's what we're going to be looking for. We'll wait for a little bit more information to develop here, of course, with 8:30 red folder news coming up. But that's what I have for the major indices. If we're looking at the SMH, one of my favorite looking setups here, still you can see higher time frame wedge pattern on the hourly chart. So nice push higher. Now we're flagging. Let's see if we can get that continuation back up and towards our all-time highs and above. That's what we have on the SMH. As for the IWM, this one's still fairly bullish. Let me get rid of this. IWM, higher time frame, little bit of rejection here off our all-time highs. But for the IWM, nice kind of bounce. Now, as long as you can maintain above your 253, we can expect this to continue higher here as well. So coming to market open, as I mentioned, we'll just wait for 8:30 here before I develop a game plan coming to market open. But I am still leaning more towards the upside. I'd like to see levels hold. We're going to be a little bit more cautious today just because of the reaction that we had yesterday. But what I like here is the SMH still. Where SMH, if we're looking at this on the daily time frame, semiconductors have been leading the market higher. Now we're basing. As long as we can maintain above key levels, we can expect this to continue towards the upside. So now let's go on to some of the tech names that we have coming into market open. We'll go into the Meg 7 and then we'll head on to a few other tickers here as well. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. Yeah, if you guys do have any charts or any tickers now, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. Okay, let's head on to the Meg 7 and then we'll head on to a few other tickers here as well. So Tesla's been staying heavy ever since we hit all-time highs. That was a major objective, right? Take profits here at this all-time highs level. Now we're having a little bit of a pullback here on Tesla, which is expected. As for the key levels moving forward, intraday higher time frame relative weakness. The past week has been showing a lot more weakness compared to the QQQ here as well. Key levels that I have marked out is going to be that 436. And then I also have your 428 here marked out on Tesla. Now we're underneath key levels. We're underneath our low for the week. As long as we maintain underneath 428, we can see a continued push towards the downside. Reclaim back above your 428, you can see a little bit of a mean reversion here. So let's go back onto, let's kind of zoom in here on Tesla. Key levels is going to be that previous day lows along with our low that we created here on Tuesday. You have a couple scenarios, pop and fade off your Tuesday's lows. Another potential scenario, kind of this rejection off your previous day low for a continuation lower. These are the two scenarios that we have for downside here on Tesla. If you're looking for upside, potential kind of reclaim right off the bat, or now it's going to be the reclaim above your previous day lows. But the best longs would be kind of that immediate retest for this kind of mean reversion right off the bat. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on Tesla since the higher time frame is underneath key levels. Where the key level of support that I do have is kind of this 436, and now you can see we're kind of breaking underneath it. So if we can maintain underneath 436, we can see a little bit more room towards the downside on Tesla. So that is something to keep in mind, right? 436 is a line in the sand for me. Let's go on to NVIDIA. NVIDIA overall just consolidating, not really too much to talk about. Higher time frames. We're waiting for the break above your 193. So until we can break above 193, I'm going to be a little bit more hands off on this ticker. You can see kind of nice mini W-shaped recovery. But now what we like to see here on NVIDIA is the base and break above our 193 as I mentioned. So we're waiting for the break of this consolidation for this continuation higher. If we break underneath, then of course we can continue lower. So for NVIDIA, I'm just going to be a little bit more hands off until we can break either the high or the low of the range. In between here, I'm going to be a lot more cautious. As for AMD, this one actually ended up breaking underneath our key levels yesterday. 212 towards the downside. You can see this is a major key level of support. So moving forward, what we like to see here on AMD, if we reject offer 212, we can see this continue push towards the downside. If we reclaim back above that 212, then we can see a little bit of a mean reversion back up and towards the top of this range, which will be your 220. So that's going to be the key level for AMD coming into market open. With it being fairly weak coming into today, and of course on this week here as well, we'll keep an eye on this 212 right off the bat. Potential pop and fade or the reclaim as I mentioned. Apple, another one of these tickers, which is showing a little bit more relative weakness compared to the overall markets. To kind of start off this year, we ended up having a pretty big rejection off a key level with a lot of volume, and now we're breaking underneath this key level of support. So we ended up breaking underneath 265, and now you can see markets are dropping towards the downside, whereas the QQQ is rising. Apple is breaking underneath key levels. So the next key levels on Apple, 256, along with our 240s, which is fairly far away. But for Apple, key levels that we have marked out, as I mentioned, 266. Now we're just going to mark out our previous day lows, which as you can see, a couple of rejections or a couple of reactions around this level ultimately pushed towards the downside once we got underneath that 262. Now we can mark out our previous day lows. Key levels that we have marked out is going to be that 260. Key levels, as I mentioned, previous day low, potential pop and fade off this level for continuation towards the downside. Underneath your pre-market low, we can see a continue push towards the downside here as well. So mark out that previous day lows. We can mark out our pre-market lows. If we're looking at this on the higher time frame chart, we have a couple more objectives lower here on Apple. I'm definitely not interested in looking for a V-shaped recovery. I think that's going to be a little bit more difficult. We can be looking for kind of these major pops to short towards the downside here on this ticker. As for Google, this one actually showing some strength, actually broke outside of a key level here yesterday. So this is going to be one of our main watches for this continued push back towards the upside. All-time highs is fairly close. It is our 328. So Google all-time highs is in play coming into market open. Key levels that we have marked out here is your previous day high. So for Google, if we're looking at this on the 1 hour chart, you can see nice consolidation, right? Multiple reactions, right? Consolidation period, break above, retest, continuation higher. So as you can see, nice break yesterday. Now we're retesting here, and now you can see we're pushing towards the upside. So for Google, one of my main watches coming to market open, what I'll be looking for here is really one of two scenarios. Potential previous day highs hold for a push up and towards your all-time highs. Another possible scenario, break above your all-time highs for continuation higher here as well. So these are the two scenarios for upside on Google. This is going to be one of my main watches coming into market open. We do have to be a little bit cautious with it being at all-time highs, potential kind of rejection, or if it gets back underneath now your previous day highs, you could see a little bit of a mean reversion. So this is what we have for Google coming into today. As for a few other tickers here, Meta, not really too much to talk about. A lot of consolidation here, just in between our 672 along with that 642. Amazon actually showing some nice strength. This one's still holding up fairly nicely here as well. So Amazon's going to be one of our main watches for continuation higher. Key level that we have marked out is at 243. So as you can see yesterday, nice kind of opening drive play right off the bat, held that 243, ultimately now breaking back underneath, but higher lows are still being built. So now what we like to see, reclaim back above 243 for a continued push towards the upside, or now it's going to be above our previous day highs for a push higher. Keep an eye out on Amazon. This one on the daily chart looks fairly good. If we can break and close above this level, which is that higher time frame, 240. If we can break above 240 on the daily chart, we can see this push back up and towards our all-time highs. So this is what we have for Amazon coming to market open. As for Microsoft, a little bit of rejection off key levels, 489. And then for Netflix, this one's still staying weak. So We have about 6 more minutes until red folder news here. So far, we are bouncing off our 622. My main watch is really coming into market open. I do like Google. This is a higher time frame breakout above your previous day highs. We have room up and towards our all-time highs and potentially above 330 and above. So Google is going to be one of my main watches. I'm also still going to keep an eye out on Amazon. So these are my favorite for upside. As for the rest of the tickers like Tesla, Nvidia, AMD, open to playing both sides on these tickers. But the ones that are having some higher time frame moves, of course, are Google and Amazon. Now let's go on to a few other tickers here as well. We'll go on to some other names. There's some higher time frame breakouts. Intel, a name that we don't normally play. I ended up trading this one yesterday just because of the whole semiconductor theme and the higher time frame breakout that it did have. That ended up being a super solid trade. But yeah, if you guys do have any charts or any tickers now, you guys can drop them in the chat. Let me look at the chat here as well. Can we look into gold? And yeah, I'll take a look at gold here in a second. Intel been crushing it, been holding. Yeah, I have some shares as well from last year. Intel is one of my top watches, at least for this year. Just because of the overall semiconductor theme, this one's been lagging behind. We had a very bullish news catalyst last year, which ever since then, every single dip has been bought up on Intel. MU, yeah, I'll check that out here in a second. Let's see the rectangles. Yeah, I just get used to it. I've been doing it for a while now, so I have. It's kind of a skill. It honestly takes a skill kind of to learn drawing while talking as well. But as you can see here for Palantir, we kind of talked about the key levels this was a couple days ago, but Palantir, potential kind of mean reversion. We had an inside bar day, which was key. So this right here is an inside bar day. We finally broke outside the inside bar day, so we're targeting the outer bar. And for Palantir, this ended up having a super solid push. So kind of this previous day highs break. And then once we had this level drawn out here as well, nice push towards the upside. And now you can see it actually retested our last week's key pivot level, which was our Friday's highs. So super nice retest, or super nice reclaim yesterday towards the upside. And then we actually came back for the retest once again. And now we're pushing back up and towards our previous day high. So for Palantir coming into market open, key level that we have here is going to be that previous day highs. If you do want to see upside above your previous day highs, we have a little bit more room up and towards our 189. I'll be a little bit cautious because we do have a pretty big gap up here. So keep this in mind. Either you're looking for the reclaim back above your previous day highs, or now it's going to be that previous day high retest right off the bat. So this is what we have for Palantir coming into market open. SoFi, not too much to talk about here, kind of rejection off a key level. Let's go on to MU and some of the semiconductors since these ones are still holding up. MU, super good looking chart here. Nice continuation higher, consolidation yesterday. Let's see if we can get that continued push towards your all-time highs. So for MU, kind of forming this flag pattern, right? Nice push higher, forming this or flag pattern or kind of this flat top. What we're waiting for here on MU is either the break above your previous day highs. You could be looking for the consolidation opening range break for a continued push towards the upside, or even this bounce play off our 336. There's a couple scenarios that we can be looking for here on MU coming to market open. Either way, MU looks super solid just based off the daily chart, and we're still holding up. So MU, really solid breakout. Little bit of consolidation. Now let's see if we can get this continued push towards the upside. So keep an eye out on MU coming into market open. TSM, this one, another one to keep an eye out on here as well. You had a little bit of a upper kind of wick here on Tuesday, and now we're kind of consolidating coming into this week, but this one's still higher time frames bullish as well. What we like to see is really maintain above your 321 for a continuation higher. Another level that we can have marked out here now as well is going to be that previous day highs. So a couple scenarios here on TSM, potential bounce play off 321, break above your previous day highs for continuation, or of course you're going to be waiting for that 331 break for a push higher. That's what we have for TSM. Let's go into Intel. One of my favorite looking charts here, I traded this one yesterday, ended up being a super solid trade. Really was one of the only tickers that moved higher yesterday. But let's kind of go on to this on the weekly time frame. This is key. As you can see here on the weekly time frame, we had a huge base. Of course, we had some bullish news catalysts last year that pushed this towards the upside, but Intel holding up very nicely. You can see all major dips being bought up. This for me, if we can break above our yearly highs, we can see a push back up and towards really 50 here on Intel, which isn't out of the picture, which technically would be our high that we created in 2024 here as well. So for Intel, one of my favorite looking charts here, if we go back onto the daily chart, a nice push towards the upside here. Yesterday, we had this gap up, right? Clear objectives being at 44. Now, if we go back onto the lower time frames, let's kind of remove a couple levels here. The main objectives that we have here on Intel, or the main levels that we have marked out, should be your Monday's highs. You can see we kind of have multiple touches here. Monday's highs, nice break above it yesterday. Now we're kind of retesting it here in the pre-market. For Intel, what I like to see is really just the hold of this 42. You can see nice kind of push higher, a little bit of rejections here off 44. Now this is the higher low for this continued push back up and towards 44 and above. So moving forward, at least for Intel, we like to see the hold of your 42, either bounce play right off the bat, consolidation for a push higher, or now it's going to be the break above your 44 for this continued push towards the upside. So this is what we have on Intel coming into today. You should still keep an eye out on Intel. The move was really yesterday, but you can keep an eye on a potential second day move as well for this push higher. Okay, we just had some news here as well. Let's go back onto this. All right, we just had some red folder news. We had some unemployment. It came in lower than expected, which was good. Overall market seems like we're pushing back up and towards our previous day close. So coming into market open, let's kind of go over the game plan here. Once again now, since we do have unemployment, now we already had the red folder news. So kind of talked about the key levels coming into today. It's going to be that previous day lows. We're kind of pushing back up and towards that previous day lows along with that previous day close. So coming into today here for the SPY and Qs, this is going to be our exact level. Just mark out our previous day lows. If we reject, we can see a push down in towards our pre-market lows. If we reclaim, we can see a mean reversion back up and towards our 690.50. Similar kind of game plan here on the Qs. We're kind of pushing back up and towards our previous day lows. Sorry, our previous day close. We can mark this out, which will be our 624. So coming into market open here on the QQQ, break above, we can see a push up in towards our 625. Rejection, we're going to see a push right back down in towards our previous day lows. So this is going to be the key level coming to today, 624. And then for the SPY, of course, it's going to be that 689. So this is the key level that I have marked out. As for some of my main watches, specifically on the Mag 7, it's still going to be Google. I guess Google's making a brand new all-time highs here. In the pre-market, so as you can see, we're breaking above our key levels. We're making or very close to our all-time highs here in the pre-market. So similar thing, we're still going to be looking for the retest off our previous day highs for continuation. And then I actually still like Amazon here as well, which is going to be that break above 243 for a push higher. As for Nvidia, middle of the range, be more cautious. Tesla, a little bit weaker compared to the market, so keep an eye out on your 428. AMD, similar thing, a little bit weaker. Keep an eye out on your 212. Even Apple showing a little bit more weakness underneath your previous day lows. Now the key levels I have marked out, previous day lows along with our pre-market lows. And then for some other names here, I do like Palantir for upside. We'll keep an eye out on it above our 187. We'll keep an eye out on MU for continuation today. Even Intel for a bounce off that 42 is in play for upside. As for a few other tickers here now, I see a couple of you guys typing. Yes, don't worry, I'll go over gold. Okay, let's go over gold here. This one hit all-time highs. As you can see, gold and silver Some of these commodities, nice push up and towards our all-time high, still holding key levels. So as you can see here, higher time frame trend still very much intact. We're still above this previous all-time highs pivot point. I talked about the reclaim the other day. Once we reclaimed, I like to see kind of this push back up and towards our all-time highs. But if we're looking at this on a hourly time frame perspective, now for gold, at least moving forward, the key levels I have marked out is really just going to be this previous level of consolidation. You can see once we kind of broke back above, right, consolidation, broke above it, really strong impulsive move higher. Once we broke back underneath, couple rejections, and then once we broke back above as well, we end up seeing a nice move. But for gold moving forward, I'd like to see kind of these higher lows be built. My key point of interest is still going to be this 43.76. If we can get a potential bounce play off here, that's going to be your higher low for continuation back towards the upside. So that's going to be my key objectives for gold. As you can see, higher time frame still very much intact. So until we can break until we can break below this trend line, right, we can still expect the momentum to be intact. If we can maintain it, then we can see this push back up and towards our all-time highs. If we go into silver, another one where we end up having a nice push higher, made a new all-time highs not too long ago on Tuesday. Now we're having a little bit of rejection. So for silver, I really don't like marking out this chart just because there's always so many gaps. The futures looks a little bit better than the actual ETF itself, but for silver, with a lot of these gaps that are always created here in the overnight sessions, the key levels are still valid. So they're still valid here, 68.50 now. I drew these out last week and you can see price is respecting these nicely. So coming into today here for silver, where you're going to have marked out 68.50. If we reject, we can see this push back down and towards your 67. A reclaim back above this level, we can see a push back up and towards your previous day lows. So that's what I have on this. As for a few other ones, that's most likely about it today. So game plan coming to market open here today. I'm just going to go over it quickly once more. As I mentioned, we're going to keep an eye out on your previous day lows. My key line in the sand is going to be our last week's lows. If we can maintain above this, I'm going to have a bullish stance on the market for a potential mean reversion back towards the upside above our 622, which is our last week's Friday's highs. If we break underneath your pre-market lows and break underneath the 622, then I'm going to lean a little bit more towards the downside coming into today. So that's what I have. If you look at the SPY chart, fairly similar kind of game plan. SPY, of course, is a little bit more bullish than the QQQ since we are well above our Friday's highs from last week. But for the SPY coming into today, at least, key level previous day lows. We'll keep that in mind. And then my main watches, as I mentioned, Google and Amazon. And then for the rest of the tickers, we'll have a more neutral stance, right? Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, AMD. These ones, more neutral stance coming to market open. And then if we're looking at higher time frame moves, keep an eye out on MU for continuation, right? As you can see, really strong trend towards the upside. Now we're consolidating. As long as we maintain above key levels, we can see MU pop today. Intel, similar thesis, starting to build up these higher lows. Let's see if we can get that Intel push back up and towards previous day highs and above. And yeah, that's about it. And even Palantir, as I mentioned, potentially above our 186. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. Yesterday's video, unfortunately, yesterday my power went out as soon as I started the stream. So that's the reason why I was only 2 minutes. Futures, yes, we have futures as well. But yeah, that's about it. So let's see, SNDK. Let me go over this one here as well. SanDisk was super solid. This one, really solid higher time frame breakout. So these are the type of moves you'd like to see, especially that work best, of course, in trending markets. But SanDisk, key levels that we have marked out, that previous day highs. And of course, we had this level marked out here as well. We can have marked out your previous day lows. So key levels, we have these marked out. Now for this ticker coming to today, keep an eye out on, right, 350, 250 bounce for continuation higher. So that's going to be the key level, of course, higher time frame breakout. And we have really solid all-time highs in play. So keep an eye out on your 350, 250. Okay, that's gonna be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for market open here now. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the watch list, of course, that is in the description below here as well. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.